Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 4 of the Ask Alex podcast. Today, we have a question from Jonathan, who asks, is Kylie Jenner's cosmetic company really worth $400 million? Wow, that is pretty amazing. But if you actually look at the numbers that Kylie's doing, she's not doing too badly. Let me just pull up something from the news here. So her company is called Kylie Cosmetics. She's done 420 million in sales in only 18 months. And they're projecting to do revenue of 1 billion of sales by 2022. Her most successful launch to date was a 2016 holiday collection released on the 21st of November, which made the company nearly $19 million that day alone. So there's a couple of reports around that the company may be worth about 400 million, but I haven't quite seen that confirmed. But look, it doesn't matter. The best way to kind of think about this is explain valuations in 3 buckets. You have investor valuations, you have private market valuations, and you have public market valuations. So let's deal with the first one, investor valuations. So let's say you have an idea and you're a Stanford grad in computer science and you're like, we're building this cool little social local mobile app, SoloMo, and you say, well, I want to raise $1 million. And so investors, okay, well, what's your valuation? Say, well, we're willing to be diluted 25%, so call it, say, 4 million. Your company isn't actually worth 4 million. Just an investor saying they're willing to invest at that valuation. What investors, that investment valuation number does become more important later at the stage of the company, obviously, because the investors are going to have liquidation preferences. They want to make sure that the value of the company is at least going to be more than the liquidation preferences. But it's just basically bullshit. Investor valuations don't mean anything. Now, the second one is private market valuations. Now, how do these happen? Well, let's say you build that little company that we talked about before, and a private equity company or a competitor is willing to purchase you for it. And they say, we'll buy you for $400 million. Say, well, thank you very much, and you sell. That valuation is real because someone bought you for $400 million. Now, the third bucket are public market valuations. And that's when you IPO, you go on the stock exchange like the NYSE, the NASDAQ. And after you IPO, well, the investors, your investment bank will, set a price, but then basically go on the public market. So, Google, Facebook, you can actually see what the market capitalization is of one of those companies, and that is the public market valuation. So let's come back to investor valuations. So Mashable's last valuation by investors was 250 million. And you know what? A couple of weeks back, they just sold for $50 million. So who was right, the investors or the acquirer? Well, clearly the acquirer. So the investors thought it was worth 250 million in terms of investing in it, but the acquirer was only thinking it was worth 50 million. Now let's look at Theranos. Investors threw massive amount of money into that company and valued it at billions. And you know what? Total bullshit. Nothing there. Thank you very much. Ultimately, startups are just outsourced innovation for corporates. So it's worth what an acquirer will pay for it. Is Jet really worth $3.3 billion? Well, who cares what investors think? Walmart paid $3.3 billion for it. So it is worth that to them. I mean, it just so happened that Walmart has got real issues with Amazon and doesn't know what to do and how to compete with them. And that was a $3.3 billion option value worth to them. The same goes for WhatsApp, for Instagram, for YouTube, acquired by Facebook and Google respectively. WhatsApp and Instagram were a response to Facebook not having a mobile strategy. Google obviously saw that video was going to be huge for them, and so they bought up YouTube. So coming, back to the original question, is Kylie Jenner's cosmetic company really worth $400 million? No. I mean, I don't want to talk about the fundamentals of it. Well, I probably will, but that is, again, like an investor valuation. Until someone actually puts down an offer for it and buys the company, it's actually not worth anything. It's just speculation. Is it worth 400 million? Possibly, actually. I mean, she's doing bloody good numbers. I mean, seriously, like Kylie is a machine. That is just incredible. I mean, I got a lot of respect. I mean, I don't know if she's actually executing on it, but her marketing game is obviously fantastic. Yeah. So thanks, Christopher. That's an interesting question. A little bit of a nebulous answer, but really the fundamental difference is a company's only worth what someone's willing to actually buy it for. Otherwise, it's just speculation from investors. Okay, guys, that was great. If you have a question you'd like to ask yourself, head over to alexanderjarvis.com/askalex, and you can ask your own question. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I really appreciate it.